Hey, what's going on, everybody? Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever it is that you are. What a wild freaking market. Wow. That's the best way to say it is just wow. Um, a lot of chop happened in the middle of the day, so let's go ahead and get right to the chart. The first thing I want to kind of break down to you is the fact that yeah, NQ kind of pushed up, and we are really getting into that area where we could really take some of these imbalances on. But what I don't like about it is that we kind of was building a channel, and I thought was going to just reject the bottom, which we did. Sorry, not reject the bottom, reject the top, which we kind of did. And when we did, I'm thinking we was just going to get a lot of the buy side liquidity, and that did not happen. I do predicate this to possibly Nvidia's earnings is probably going to be the one that drives us here, and then out of nowhere, that's going to be the real dump. But wow, that's the best way to say it. Is just the market can do whatever it really wants, and this is why it's always king. So let's go ahead and keep this party going. Let's go to oil. I kind of told y'all what was going on with oil. If you did play this oil drop, more of that drop could happen. I'm thinking it's probably going to get to that 62, 63 level before it actually decides to bounce. So just keep that in mind. This one is gold, and I was telling you that wedge is still in play. Look at that, looking like gold is really going to try to take the top off and then continue to that upside. Look for gold to get to 3,500. Let's see what silver is doing, if it's following suit. Just vaguely, you want silver to kind of like go back into this register, probably about 39.54, 39.52, somewhere around there. If that's the case, it will drag gold on up. Now watch out for contract expiration. It's going to be switching very soon, so this could be a very volatile moment going into this week. Coming over to the British pound, this one is on a tricky point, and that's the part I was telling y'all. It's between two different spots. It finished green, but I think it's because the market just did something crazy that they didn't know what expect, and was coming right back to the order block, so they couldn't even rebalance all of that stuff. So we're sitting under the order block. Market's pushing up. Let's go check out the dollar here in a little bit, and we'll find out some more. Let's get through Bitcoin. Bitcoin had a nice little bounce here. I did feel like they were going to give this bounce, but they came for fair value gaps. Look out for the order block that's right here. I don't think Bitcoin is just going to fall right through. I'm looking for a reversal to happen between 108 and 107. So if it starts right now with a higher low, don't be surprised if Bitcoin continues. Russell, ta-da! I was telling you this at the end when we made this nice little pop to the upside. It looks like they're really pouring into the small caps. I just told the community to check out some IWMs. I will tell you to check out IWM. Might give you some opportunity to play some upside. And then the last is the infamous, undeniable, the force of the market, the dollar. And right now we closed inside of the order block. And this is the one that really concerns me, right? It's not like we broke the bottom when we made this high. It almost like the dollar's going to reload here. Not saying that we're going to get a complete pop here from the dollar, but tomorrow's oil inventory, Thursday is jobs report, and there's going to be a lot of nuance in this action. Look for more chop as we going into Thursday, especially with Nvidia's earnings. I don't think we're going to get any reprieve until Thursday. Let's go ahead and get over into the news. So go ahead and pull out a pen and a pad, because I'm going to give you the news, and it's coming in hot, and it's most important factor itself. We're going to go ahead and look at this economic calendar, because we got to be fully prepared for everything that's going to happen. So if we look at this, we had durable goods this morning, but for tomorrow we're going to have mortgage information that should play for housing, oil inventory that should tell you some more about what's going on with oil. But we got two auctions I'm concerned about: the 5-year note and the 2-year. So looking at 1 o'clock, 11:30 ish, give or take, this could be the catalyst that really drop. If the bonds rate increase, look for this thing to go ahead and take a stab or a chunk out of the market, because that's what they want to park their money, is safe things like bonds. Thursday we got jobs report, and then we have GDP, price index, and pricing. We got the rates going to be dropping around 8:30. We're going to have where is it? I know it's down here. Where are you? Uh, Hold on. Am I throwing myself off? Maybe we had Michigan sentiment last week. Was it last week? It might have been Michigan Sentiment last week. Or is it Friday coming up? Hold on. Let me just make sure I am saying what Michigan Sentiment is on Friday. Okay, it's not Thursday. Oh, so that's going to even be crazier. So look for, let's see, am I right? Okay. So we got GDP growth rate. That's what's going to really take a nice little chunk at the market. And then you got yourself a couple of 7-year notes. Again, 1 o'clock. These bonds rates keep increasing. You're going to get some volatility, making the bonds increase, and then you're going to get some money poured over there because people wants to park their money in something safe than the market, because we know we're at all-time highs. And then Friday, we're going to have ourselves consumer spending, and then we're going to get Michigan Sentiment. I am waiting for Michigan Sentiment. I love this one. Good reaction out of the market, especially around 10 o'clock on that Friday. So just keep that in mind. All right, listen. Long-term investments, hold on to them. You shouldn't be bouncing in and out of it. It's the short trades that's being affected in this case. So just keep that in mind. That's all that we're missing. Josh Brown says if Apple announced a deal with Perplexity, the shares would hit a record that very day. And here's the thing, and I love hearing people's speculation and everything else. And it's probably going to have people react to Apple and start jumping into Apple, which I do not suggest that you just jump into Apple, especially at this point. Unless you just have a bullish case on it, you have no business chasing Apple here. The 213 that we talked about a long time ago was the area that you were supposed to get into Apple. But right now, based on what I'm seeing overall, I think Apple needs to do some type of acquisition. I think the rest of the market believes so too. I think they violated a lot of things on their shares in itself, and I think there's going to be some pops here. But again, you're going to have to either A, buy more time or wait for a proper setup, because I think closer to 213 is a good discount for Apple. Anything right now could be a little tricky for you to get into. But yeah, Apple, you're suffering, and you got to come up with something innovative. And if you can't come up with something innovative, you go buy it. You're sitting on a lot of cash, you might as well do it. So this is what we're looking at Apple, especially if they're going to try to bring out a new iPhone. That last iPhone launch was completely poo-poo. All right. You know what? Let me go ahead and do this as well, because it's going to be very interesting to see what the chart looks like when I pull it up. AMD will jump another 30% as its chips gain traction with hyperscalers, Truist says. Now listen, I don't know if you ever had a Truist account. I would take them with a grain of salt. They're not the most tech savvy until they went ahead and did their merger with BB&T. That's the old SunTrust. If you know who they are, you already know. But yeah, I was looking for AMD to kind of do a little bit of a pullback, but this was like way back. Like this had to be like, let me see, am I on weekly? Yeah, this had to been over a month. I was like somewhere around a 382 that we could get a nice little solid bounce. This drop has not happened yet. AMD's been going a lot sideways. I would love to buy it at 141. I would buy the crap out of that thing, but that is not the case. Jump another 30%. I won't say will jump another 30. What's 30% of 16? So that's 16, 32, 48. Another $48. So what would that bring us to? That'll bring us to 4, 8, 14, 214. Well, you need a pullback to go ahead and get up into here. This was just a drift up. Now, could we just pin it here and pull? Yeah, possibly. Are they in line in their earnings? Absolutely. Did they raise guidance? Slightly. And this is the thing that I have a problem with AMD, is because at the end of the day, NVIDIA is still the breadwinner. Now you got Trump that's turning around and talking about they're going to go ahead and get a 10% share of Intel, which is going to go ahead and make some detractors kind of run over to that side, taking some of that cap out of AMD. So it's going to be a very interesting dynamic to kind of see this going forward, but I wouldn't just go ahead and run straight into AMD. You could be running into a buzzsaw, so just keep that in mind. So let's go ahead and put it up. So earnings that's going to be coming out in the morning. So earnings that's going to be coming out in the morning is one of them is A&F, right? A&F, this is Abercrombie Fish. I do think that the clothing space, like your Gaps and all that, those are the things that people are going to run into, especially with the fact that we're having such a deep inflation issue right now. Things are more expensive. People got to cut costs and everything else. So you got to kind of prepare yourself. So companies like A&F will be beneficial on that case. The rate cuts is coming, so then you're probably going to go ahead and let people pull their money in the middle of September. But generally speaking, I am thinking of a red September for a lot of these tickers. I think this rally was just people in their puts, they're getting out of their position. And then this thing's going to go ahead and do something very massive in the middle of September. As we get closer to quad witching, September is historically not a bullish month. So something like A&F is probably a good safe haven if that's the case. So just keep that in mind. Williams Sonoma, they're going to go ahead and report. I don't care too much for this company because in this climate it's not the greatest. They missed on EPS even though they found an extra $63 million. It just tells me that they're mismanaging or they missed their estimate because their accountants can't adjust accordingly. That it's just a weird thing to see. But you can kind of see a nice little pop for the dividends, and then we're going into this next earnings, which is going to be this morning, and you're going to find when this releases that this thing's going to have to make a decision. It does look like it's forming what would be a double top, a breakdown to 139, which would be okay with this type of company. Because again, that space is more on the higher end side. But because it's on the higher end side, it might get buoyed if they have proper sales and proper management. So you already made a mistake last quarter. Let's see if you cleaned it up here. CrowdStrike. This is going to be in the cybersecurity space. I do think that cybersecurity has been the laggard in tech, and I think there's going to be some type of pop here. So just kind of prepare for this one. I like where it is right now. Nice, good discount somewhere around that 417. Anything above 400, I'll be bullish. You can kind of see it's been beat down and being held down. I think this is primed for a pop. Probably should have took some CrowdStrike calls. Is that? Oh no, it's PM. Woo. Okay, we might be able to squeeze in something on the morning, so we'll see what happens there. Another one in that space is Snow. This one's going to be predicated to a lot of the movement that's going from there. And then we got ourselves Urban Outfitters. This is also inside of that affordable wear. We'll see what happens with A&F if that's going to go ahead and give it a nice little pop. Right now, they're anticipating 1.47 in their estimate. And the last one is the one that everybody can't wait to see, and this is what buoys. It's the one that rises all boats, right? This is NVIDIA. It has no chill. It doesn't care who's in front of it with puts. They are going to go ahead and eat their lunch money. So nice little reversal throughout this day. Again, they report tomorrow night. So this is probably a prelude to another push to the upside. Depending on how the oil inventory comes across, that probably could affect the market in that regard. So that is the earnings that we're looking at for tomorrow. As of a couple of things that I've kind of seen earlier today, we talked about City Trends, and I was kind of curious to see what they were going to do. And you see there was a nice little pop and then a strong pullback. It's just people taking their profits and everything else. But that pop, I think, is going to be something that's going to recover with the A&F and also Urban Outfitters, because I do believe that the economy is going to pivot and start doing some of these more cost-effective places. PVH, which is the other clothing place that I was telling you about, they had solid earnings. You could kind of see nice little pop here, $86. They reported an extra 26% on their EPS and found money. I love hearing that whenever I'm dealing with companies. This one, let me see, do I have, oh, it's only 3 cents. I can't put that for my dividend plays, but again, very good company. When it's all said and done, they always make money for the most part. So that's a couple that I'm looking at. And then as far as other things that I'm looking at, coming over to the third month, companies like Docu, I'm trying to see, are they ever going to just completely fall out? This is the one trick pony that just cannot do its trick relatively properly because they have competition for companies like Adobe and other spaces that imitates their DocuSign side. So they have tried to pivot in some places, but to be honest, I do not think that they can do much. They have earnings that's going to be coming up in the middle of September, and that's their EPS. That's their revenue. They're not bringing a lot of cash. They can't even break $1 billion. Of course, this is a far cry from when they were in the pandemic, where they were actually bringing in X amount of millions and they were giving solid EPS. But you could kind of see it's just been downhill for the most part. They were the ones that say, hey, it's the pandemic. We have no choice but to sign things electronically. And I don't think they diversified or extended themselves any way, fashion, form. Just does not look good for this company. So I'm thinking this is going to go deeper to the bottom. Semiconductors that does benefit from things like Nvidia's earnings, like AVGO. Probably going to be watching a lot more on this to kind of get a little bit of a sense on what the market's going to do. But to be honest, I do think Tech needs to pull back. And we did have Box that had earnings before. So with Box earnings, which was solid, right? It found an extra 5% with 3 million. But if there was anything that you want to sell off in tech, it would be something like the storage space and information packages like Box. Let's see, do they have anything else? Cloud management, content, IT, admin controls, Box governance, Box zone, Box relay, Box shuttle, and Box key safe. What? I don't know. At the end of the day, I still find this questionable. And this thing says strong sell. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. All right, so we kind of ran the gambit. I think we covered quite a bit. I want to say thank you for taking the time and watching BYTTT. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and the bell button. We got a lot more information coming through, so you won't want to miss when I break down some of the stuff, especially after the jobs report. And don't forget, I do have after the trades, which is my recaps of all the trades that I take throughout the week, so it can kind of give you a little insight, kind of like my triage. So when you hit that bell, it'll give you notification when after the trades drops. I want to say thank you. We're close to that 500. Yeah. So let's go ahead and get that out there. Share it to your friends and family. I appreciate you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.